Well, it's good to be with you on Good Morning Geelong, and hope you, as they say in the classics, have a nice weekend. During the week, the Geelong Advertiser had two articles on its front page. One was about the shooting in Ascot Vale on Monday of Des Moran, and alongside it, and in fact the main article was about a dog attack in Corio. Stray dog scalps man. A picture of a bull mastiff, I think the dog was, who attacked an elderly man and was rescued, who was rescued eventually by a neighbour. I must admit that first you look at it and you say, well, why would the dog attack be more news than the murder? Well, I suppose one is local and the other was in Melbourne. The other thing is, I suppose most of us have got more chance of being attacked by a dog than we have of being cut down by a gunman's bullet. In reality, dog attacks are far more common than most of us would perhaps at first realise. And I say this as someone who likes dogs, like dogs more than cats, to be perfectly honest. But not that I mind cats, but I find dogs generally a lot more appealing. Except for those who are really nasty, and there are a few of them, and often, of course, they are able to roam the streets, escape from enclosures which are far from secure. And it's not just little children. It's tragic enough when they're attacked, but it can be people of all sorts of different ages, and people do some crazy and stupid things in terms of their dogs. And to be perfectly honest, I suppose it's something which over many years, since my mother was attacked quite some years ago and suffered some injuries which she took with her for the rest of her life, that it's an area of domestic and urban life which probably we don't take seriously enough. The capacity of dogs, particularly if they're even just relatively innocent dogs who are just running and can easily knock people over, and that has happened on more than one occasion, let alone the more serious and on the odd tragic occasion fatal attacks that say little children or elderly people can be subjected to, are things which as a community we need to take a lot more seriously. Generally speaking, the laws which govern the protection of, well, it's not the protection of the animals, it's the protection of people from marauding animals. Those laws are, generally speaking, while they are adequate on paper, they're not policed, and they're certainly not enforced to any great degree. And certainly as one who has had a loved one seriously and long-term injured through this sort of thing, I must admit I'm pretty intolerant of the way in which the slaps on the wrist come to people who don't care for or don't care about their pet animals. By all means, that allow people to have dogs, but and to enjoy their company and have them as pets for their children and so on. All of that is a perfectly normal way of domestic living. But at the same time, they need to be guarded, they need to be protected, and we need to be protected as the public as well. This attack on this elderly man in Corio during the week is just one of many situations that emerged during the week, during our ordinary life. And they make the news, occasionally they make the headlines, as did this one. But maybe it's about time we took a little more effort to make sure that we are properly protected, and especially the children and elderly are protected, not so much, well, certainly from the dogs, but also from the owners of the dog, who need to take a far more responsibility than they do. Good to be with you on Good Morning Geelong.